Let's talk about creating and editing settings for your call for entry. So the first thing we're going to do is log in with our admin account. And we can either edit an existing call or we can create a new call. They'll both bring you to the same page. Creating a new call from scratch is what it sounds like. It's going to be pretty much blank fields. If we duplicate a prior call, what it will do is take all of the settings from that call and allow you to edit the dates and call it a day. This is great for our galleries who tend to run a lot of the same seasonal or recurring calls. But let's just say we're going to create a new call from scratch and walk through how that process works. The very first thing you'll see is fairly self-explanatory. A lot of this is just basic information about the call. What should we call it? So I'll fill it in as we go. What kind of show it is. Gallery exhibits and tend to be kind of the most popular on EntryThingy, but you can fill in your call type. Location, city and state. This is important as we use this information to surface your call to artists on our public calls list. And this is how a lot of our artists will search based on location. You can check here if it's international or if it's online. We require online calls have a gallery with a physical presence as part of it, just to reduce the number of low quality or more kind of pay to play calls that we don't want our artists to find. Call description. This is where you should tell people what the call is about and what it's for and what you are looking for artists to apply for. This description will show up on your call detail page. It will also show up on our calls list, which I have open here. And just as you highlight an EntryThingy specific call, this text that appears is going to source from the call description. So I would say it's important that some thought goes into what is in this box, but whatever you feel like sharing with an artist who's applying, we'll see that. Categories is a feature that a lot of our galleries use in different ways. Even though we have an option for artists to input what medium type their piece is, some admins will use this to also be medium type. So perhaps, just making it up, you may have a call that has photography and oil paints, not oil pants. And when you fill these in as an artist applying, I will get a drop-down menu with both of these present, and I can decide what category I'm applying to. Other examples of how folks use this, I might say, maybe I have, I'm a mural. I'm hosting a call about murals, and I have a large and a small outdoor space. So I might say large indoor mural and small outdoor mural. And you would indicate, I want you to submit for one of these two. And so using this category as a drop-down will dictate what the category is based on whatever you need. And so you can add up to 20 of these, and I'll see them all in a drop-down. Key dates. A lot of these, again, explanatory, but we can just walk through them. The submission deadline. This is when you need all of your artists to have all of their entries submitted. You have a calendar selector here. And if I select February 18th of this year, at 11:59 p.m. PST, the call will become closed. I will no longer be able to submit my work. Publishing, this decides if you would like people to be able to apply right away. So if I leave this unchecked and I select a day, call it Friday, no one would be able to apply to my call until this day begins. A lot of folks, I would say, just tend to publish immediately. But if you are setting up the call, maybe you have another administrator or another teammate who wants to review the settings here, you want to save it, you just don't want people applying yet. This is when you could use the delayed publishing dates. We hide some of this stuff under advanced just to make it simple, but we want to give everyone the tools they need to be successful. You can indicate here where your show dates start and end. So a lot of artists, when they're applying, will say, okay, I have a deadline of, Feb 18th, but when is the show? What if I'm accepted? I'm going to need to keep my calendar clear. So you can indicate here, 18th, and then we're going to have jurying because the show is March 16th to, call it March 19th. So this is optional for you. You can also include a late submission deadline. All that does is allow artists to apply late. They're officially past the main deadline, but they have a little bit more leeway. You can also say when the jury results will be due. So for planning purposes, let's use our same example. Let's say the deadline is February 18th and the show is March 16th. You could say juries are going to be done by Feb 24. So we have time for people to get ready for the show. Entry configuration. Let's talk about this. So this is where you really have control over what gets submit to your call, and what you would like to see and what you want artists to provide. Pieces per entry. This is something we've gotten a lot of questions on specifically. As an artist going through your call, I am doing one entry at a time. However, you can indicate how many pieces of art or pieces you would like in that entry. So if you want folks to submit 10 photographs that fit the theme in one entry, you would need to make this 10. Let's say the number has to be 10. It can't be 8, it can't be 9. You would also be able to do this. And I would only be able to apply as an artist with 10 images or pieces uploaded. This does not include additional views of a piece. Let's say you have a sculpture and there are 5 different pictures from different angles. That would still be one piece, and we'll get to additional views. So this is really your choice. Some of our galleries want one piece per entry and they allow multiple entries. So it really just depends on how you'd like to set up the call. But let's just say for this example, you have to have at least, let's just say 2. You have to have 2 pieces, but we don't want any more than 4. Under collect from artists, whatever is checked here will be shown to the artist as a field they will be required to fill out in order to proceed with applying to your call. An entry description is exactly what it sounds like. It's a description of my entire entry, not per piece. We'll get to that. So, for example, maybe the theme is black and white photography, and under my entry description, I would write, here are some of the black and white photos I took of wild horses, or whatever the theme may be. You see, it's fairly limited here based on the characters. This isn't really meant for essays. This is more just, hey, tell us what we're looking at. Artist profile statement. If you collect this, your jurors or you as an administrator will see what the artists have written about themselves as an artist. These statements are saved on artist profiles. They're not written specifically for this call. But if you'd like a little bit more background on an artist, this is where you would get it. Resume, if you would like a PDF resume to be submitted, I would say this is not a very common setting, but if you would like to require it, you may. And then this one is something we're very proud of in the new version that created a lot of issues in the old EntryThingy, which is editing after submission. So what this is after an artist applies to a call, historically, when their entry was marked as submitted, they would no longer be able to edit it. Then let's say they reach out and notify the gallery, hey, actually, I want to tweak my entry description, or you know what, the price on this piece is just not correct, or I had a typo here. What would have to happen historically is the gallery would need to move this entire entry to not submitted, notify the artist would need to log in, make the change, notify the gallery so they don't pay again, and the gallery would have to manually remark them as submitted. That was a huge pain and just really inefficient process. So we've cut that out. When you have this checked to on, up until this submission deadline, as an artist, I can continue editing even after I've paid or submitted my work. Of course, if you want to say submitted entries are final, you can leave that unchecked. But this feature is something we're really excited about giving to all of our galleries. Some of the advanced settings here, max entries per artist. So pieces per entry, entries per artist. If you said, I only want 1, here's where you could do it. If, let's just say you wanted 1 piece per entry, but you could have 5 entries per artist, that would be your call in terms of setting that up. How did you hear about us, meaning the call that is data we collect? ask for publicity permission. This says, do you want to ask artists whether or not you can share their work on social media, maybe, or your website, or put it on a gallery. So when you click this, the artist will be prompted whether or not they would like to have publicity. Moving on to piece requirements. So we have several things here. These fields for each artwork are similar to the entry requirements in that whatever is checked is what the artist will be required to fill in to move on. So a lot of these are a little bit more explanatory. Description, this is a description of that particular piece, one piece of work, what we're looking at. Dimensions, we have length, width. We also have depth for 3D, which you would check right here. But given most of it is 2D, we leave it as in the advanced settings. Material medium, that's what it sounds like for that piece. And price is another thing we can do. So if you would like people to list what they're selling the work for, that's where you'd have it, and you can select your currency drop down here to give it a little bit more of a standardized view. Here's all the file types we accept. So we default to all the image types on. You can also accept PDFs, you can accept MP4s. For audio art, you can accept MP3s, and you can make that the only thing people can apply with. So this is all of the options that are possible to apply with. Some of the other advanced settings, let's walk through here. The year the art was created, the depth, so that gives you a third dimension for dimensions. You can turn off the file upload requirement. Some people like to run calls where they have artists just link to the web page and actually not upload the image. That's something you're able to do, although I would say this is a less used field right here. Additional views per piece. Let's go back to my earlier sculpture example where there might be multiple angles or in different lighting, or a piece of art photographed at night versus during the day. You can allow multiple views per piece. An artist will have the option to fill those in. So it could be one piece gets an image, but hey, you can actually upload 3 more images of that same piece. And then here is just if you have constraints on file size. Perhaps you're going to email these around, and you know Gmail has a 25 megabyte limit. You might set this to 24, and so that way you're not getting enormous files that are causing emails with your causing issues with your email server. And then lastly, you can ask if it's all artwork or if it's a display of a booth, if you have something more like a festival or a show that requires it. Moving on to custom questions, these yellow boxes likely will be removed in March, so you might not see them anymore, so don't panic if you're watching this video and these no longer appear. These can be very powerful features for, I'll cover piece and entry questions at the same time, but they can be a little confusing. What the idea of this is to empower our galleries, our administrators, our customers to ask for things that are, call it a little bit unstandard. So, for example, you have here shipping preferences. You might say, are you a local artist who plans to plans to drop off your art, or are you going to ship it to us? And if so, how? So I'll just shortcut and just say how shipping. You can fill that out. And you'll have the option to provide people various answer types. So single line text is a small text box. Long text would be more like this, full text box. You can do a yes, no, a single checkbox, a multiple choice, and then you can decide whether to make it required and what the character limit is. So another thing you could write, are you a local artist or not? And you would make this yes, no, and make it required. And now as an artist going through your call flow, I would see this prompt. And so this can be very helpful for questions that you just need to cover. Where people get confused is asking for things like, how much is your art? Because we give people the option to ask for price here. So I would say use these for things that you really would like artists or entrants to fill out. But you don't have to use them. And to shortcut a question, yes, the custom questions do appear in the downloader. Piece is the same idea, except instead of entry, instead of seeing the questions when I'm filling out my entry, I see it as I'm applying, as I'm uploading each piece. So one thing you might want to write is, how exactly does this piece fit in with our theme? And you can give people multi-line text and call it 200 characters. You might also say, how many hours did it take you to make this? Maybe that's not relevant, but if you wanted to ask that, you could do a single line. You can ask about membership. You could ask about prior applications. This is just going to appear on each piece that they fill out. And if you'd like to delete them, you can come over here. Instructions and terms. This section should be fairly straightforward. These instructions are given to all artists before they begin. You can uncheck this if you don't care, but if you have legal terms and conditions, and then down here, we've hidden them under the drop downs to simplify your view. This is what artists would see after their entry. Make sure you drop off all accepted pieces at the gallery, or something or other. You can write anything here you want people to see after they submit. That prior example probably should have been used on this box. This is what you see after you've been accepted. And then you can also give a printable entry form to artists, and this is where you would show those instructions. Let's move on to jury settings. This is something, we have a lot of documentation on help.entrythingy.com, but I'll give you a brief walkthrough here. The instructions box is what it sounds like. It's instructions for how jurors should evaluate entries. Voting by entry versus piece, something that a lot of customers have very strong opinions one way or the other. It's what it sounds like. If I'm voting per entry and I have put in up here that I would like 2 to 4 pieces per entry, I'm voting on the entire package. So if an artist uploads 3 pieces of work, the jury is saying I'm voting on all 3 of these as one unit. If it's by piece, they're voting on each individual of those 3 pieces separately. You set the scoring range here, so 0 to whatever scale you would like, or you can do a 4 to whatever scale you would like. And then you set the categories. So just as an example, it might be adherence, the theme, creativity, and design, or something like that. And so now I would be giving range of scores to each of these. Jurors for this call is just, I will check who I would like to be a juror for the call. And so as this says, just to scroll up, you set these under here. And so the list of eligible jurors is going to appear here based on what you filled out. So you could have multiple. Blind jurying is whether or not you would like to hide the artist's name or profile or not. Some people like to do this just because it's fun. Some people like to use this to hide different biases, to hide familiar members. Just, it's sort of up to how you like to run your call, whether or not you want the artist name or profile to appear as the various pieces and entries show up. Juror notes. When this is checked, artists will be able to see the notes the jurors wrote about their entry. Some people like to keep that private. Others feel like it should be shared. So this is an entire call based on how you run your business. Entry fees and visibility. I'm going to do an entirely separate video on setting up our payment builder because it can be a little bit confusing, and I just want to have that as its own video. Let's just say for this example, it's a free call. And what that means is artists, when they're done, will be able to hit submit and submit without paying. I'll come back and make another video that has how to set up the paid call. So if you're looking for that video on here, I'll link to it. And lastly, we have visibility. If you'd like this on our public calls list, which is again over here, you would show up on, when this is unchecked and checked, you would show up here, and artists would be able to find it. It would be searchable, you'd be discoverable. Most of the time we recommend to stay yes, just because you'll get more traffic. If you don't want more people seeing it, I would check no. Or if for some reason you only want to send it to your mailing distribution list and you don't want people discovering it, you just click no and it won't appear on this calls list, and you'll have to send folks the link to your call. And then lastly, you can upload a call image, and where those look, here's an example of one right here. Here's another one. It would appear there, and then when you click in, it would appear up at the top of this call detail page. So those are all the settings, and there you would click create call, and when you do that, your call will actually appear over here, and it will be editable by you. So that's all of the different settings you can have. Please email hello@entrythingy.com if you have any other questions.